America, this one's for you from Canadian conservatives. Because as you know, something ugly is happening in our country of Canada. At hockey games, we're hearing boos during the American national anthem. At concerts, at ballparks, even in the streets, too many Canadians are treating Americans like enemies instead of friends. And let's be very clear here. It's not Canadian conservatives doing this. It's not the 8 million plus Canadians who voted for common sense in this country, who voted for responsibility, and who voted for respect. It's liberal Canadians, the ones who swallow every narrative spoon-fed to them by Mark Carney and the liberal elite, who tell them that America is the one to blame for everything wrong in the country of Canada. But we know that's not true. And I'm here to tell you that all of that is a lie, that it is simply slander. Everyday Americans have nothing to do with the mess our government in Canada created, the tariffs, the trade fights, the economic tensions. Those are all just between governments and leaders. And let's be honest, most of that friction has been the result of failed leadership right here at home, not in Washington. Mark Carney and the Liberals want you to believe that Americans are the villains, that Donald Trump alone is the source of all of our pain in Canada. Because it's easier than admitting that they've mismanaged this country for well over a decade and have basically driven it right into the ground. So today, I want to speak directly to you, America, from a Canadian conservative perspective, to the millions of you who have watched the headlines, heard the anthem boos, and wondered, do Canadians actually hate us now? Are they really this mean? Are they really this stupid? Do Canadians actually believe we're the problem as people? The answer is no, we don't, at least not the real Canada. Not the Canada that built friendships across the border, fought wars side by side, and built the closest alliance in modern history. So on behalf of Canada, I'm going to apologize to you, not for the millions of conservative Canadians who know better, but for the liberal elites who shamefully boo your anthem and sneer at your flag. They don't speak for us. They don't speak for the Canada that I know and the Canada that I love. Let's go.
Welcome to Bakes on Things.
Welcome back to Bakes on Things. I'm Chris Baker. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and of course, share your comments in the thoughts down below. You can also hype this video. Let's remember what America has done for Canada if you're watching from the Great White North. These aren't small things. These are defining moments of history that have shaped who we are as a Canadian culture. First, Americans fought alongside Canadians in both world wars. When tyranny threatened the world, terrorism and otherwise, Americans and Canadians bled together on the same battlefields and continue to do so today. Without America's entry into those wars, the world would look a lot different today than it does, and you would be a lot less safe. And Canada might not even exist as we know it if they hadn't stepped in. Second, America has been our greatest trade partner, lifting millions of Canadians into prosperity. Our auto industry, our energy sector, our farmers, all of them thrive because of access to the American market. Without that partnership, Canada's economy would collapse overnight. Third, when Canada faced national security threats, America was there. NORAD has kept our skies safe for decades. After 9/11, Americans and Canadians stood together at the border, mourning the same losses, united in the same cause. Fourth, America has been there for us in times of disaster. During floods and during the Halifax explosion in 1917, it was Boston that sent ships full of aid. During wildfires and floods, American crews have crossed the border just as we have into California to help put those out. During COVID, it was American-made vaccines, whether you believed in them or not, that arrived faster than anything that our own government could even think to secure. Fifth, let's not forget the cultural bond we have always had with America. Americans welcomed our artists, our athletes, our thinkers, and gave them a platform to shine. Wayne Gretzky played for Edmonton, yes, but his legend exploded in Los Angeles. Celine Dion, Shania Twain, Michael Bublé, Jim Carrey, all household names in America. Americans embraced them like they were their own citizens, like they came from America, just as Canadians embrace American culture every single day here when you watch all of the programs on Netflix or go to the movies or listen to music or to watch sports. These are just 5 examples. I could list dozens more. The point is very clear here. America has been our closest ally and our best friend for over a century. And the idea that some Canadians would turn on you, our American friends, because our government can't manage trade negotiations is, well, it's disgraceful. And we're sorry. This is where we sit right now as a country up north. A lot of us have no idea what we're talking about, and you're starting to see it. Now, I know that today I've been a little fired up about this, although I'm trying to remain calm as I talk about all of this. But let's lighten things up a little bit for a moment, because Canadians and Americans have always had the lighter side and love teasing each other. We poke fun at your use of Fahrenheit, being the only ones in the world that must use that system, and you scratch your head at our bagged milk. You measure distance in miles, we measure it in kilometers, and somehow, when we drive across the border, we still both manage to find them all. You put cream and sugar in your coffee, and in Canada, we line up at Tim Hortons and call that a double-double. That's the kind of good-natured ribbing that makes us friends and makes this friendship kind of fun, but it's gotten weird and it's gotten dark lately. Booing your national anthem? I'm disgusted by that. Treating your people with disrespect as they come across our border to visit when their name isn't Donald Trump? That's not ribbing, that's just pure toxicity. That's beneath us, we would think. But here's what we have to expose in all of this if you aren't clear on it yet, and we're going to be clear about why this is happening to you. The Carney liberals are why this is happening to you. You see, the liberals are deliberately pushing a narrative here that America is to blame for our economic pain. They tell Canadians that Donald Trump is the big bad wolf, that tariffs are destroying us, and that if only we bow to liberal wisdom, we will be saved. But it's all propaganda. It's all false, and we know it, at least on the conservative side of things. It's all distraction, because the truth is Canada's problems are completely homemade. They were made here over the last 11 years. It wasn't Americans who created a housing crisis by choking out our housing supply. It wasn't Americans who let crime spiral out of control in our major centers like Toronto, Vancouver, and Montreal. It wasn't Americans who taxed our farmers to death, our truckers, and our small businesses, all into the ground. That was the Liberal government, every bit of it. That was Mark Carney and his cronies. It was Justin Trudeau before him. Everyday Americans are just living their lives. They don't deserve any of our vitriol and our spewed hate down south. They're just working their jobs. They're raising their families. They didn't start this fight, and they won't be the ones to end it. They didn't ask for it, and yet they're the ones catching the booze from Liberal Canadians who don't know the difference between propaganda and actual reality. And they listen to our mainstream media, who props up all of this messaging every single day in the North. So let me say this very clearly. Let me say this very directly and without any hesitation. Americans, we are sorry. We are sorry that our Liberal government misleads our citizens into thinking you are the enemy. We are sorry that some of our people have treated you poorly when you cross the border, at games, at concerts, or just by existing in our country. We are sorry that our Prime Minister would rather point fingers at you and your president than take responsibility for the absolute destruction to our economy over the last 11 years that they have caused. You are not our enemy. You are our neighbor, our ally, and our friend. You've stood with us through war, through disaster, through trade, through culture. You've stood with us longer and stronger than any other country has in the world. And I want you to know that more than 8 million of us up here are conservative Canadians who voted for change, didn't get it, but we voted for it, who voted for honesty, who voted for common sense, do not see you as the problem, and we don't want you thinking that we do. We see you as part of the solution. We see you as our family. That's how we see Americans, and that's how we should all see Americans. So, to my Canadian viewers, if you have an American friend, an American family member, or an American colleague who feels the brunt of our messaging toward America, who feels like Canadians have turned against them, share this video with them as an apology. Let them know that the boos and the insults don't speak for Canada. They speak for liberal elites who live in a fantasy world. Real Canadians, the ones who work hard, do their research, pay their taxes, and know what friendship means, still respect our American brothers and sisters. Their names aren't Donald Trump. So why are we blaming an entire nation and its people for the tariffs that are being caused, especially when the tariffs only exacerbate the damage that the liberals have already done? And to Americans watching, we love you. We love your anthem. We love your flag. We love your spirit. We love the fact that when the world is in trouble, America shows up, always, regardless of who's in charge. And we will always stand by your side, just as you've stood by ours. So the next time that a liberal Canadian sneers at you or boos your anthem, remember this. They don't represent all of us. We are still your closest ally, your best friend, and your northern neighbor who might drink Tim Hortons coffee out of a bag of milk, but who will never, ever stop respecting and loving the United States of America. So to wrap it all up here this morning, God bless America, God bless Canada, and God bless the friendship between our two great nations. We'll see you tomorrow.